keep yourself amused. Well, that sounds like a you problem. Oh, yay. Well, boys and girls, Paul was saying hello to you all. So I'll step in and fill the old man's boots while
3, 2, 1. I'm
issues.
3, 2, 1. I'm back in the room. Yeah, sorry everybody. I shall start again. I was just explaining how we've had massive technical issues. There we go. Because
having technical issues.
Video Ninja's a ball bag, and so is fucking OBS. Yes, it's very much a Paul. Hello, Crispin. Good to see you. And most of what I was doing was greeting everybody in the chat. Very good to see you guys. Hopefully, it'll make everything go all the more smoother for you being here. So let's start again from the top with me that everybody on the internet can hear. So welcome to another Thursday night live stream. David, how's your week been, sir?
Not too bad. Not really done a lot so far this week, so we're going to start cracking on with the hobby tonight, have a bit of hobby tomorrow night, and then we've got things and schemes for Saturday, haven't we, mate?
We have, mate. Yeah, it'll be good to get together Saturday and do some stuff. I have been doing hobby today, but not miniatures hobby. I've been sorting out my Arkham Horror Living Card Game collection because I've got so much stuff that I've sort of bought, but then not sleeved and sorted.
And I thought you were just about to ruin everybody's day and announce the fact that you got the Xbox down and were playing Assassin's Creed.
No, mate, it's not that bad. We're not gone digital gaming cop out. We're doing physical stuff. As I say, it's just not miniatures, unfortunately. But just going to put the lights on because obviously
there's nobody home.
I'm not even prepared. There you go. I look a bit less like I'm sitting in a bloody cave of darkness now. So yes, the usual format, I should think. We will...
What, technical difficulties, ranting for a bit, bashing GW, all of the above?
Yeah, you can definitely going to check the kicking GW box tonight. For everybody who's not been here before or is catching up later with us on YouTube, what we're going to do is the show follows the format that we normally have. So the first thing we're going to do is show you what we're going to be working on tonight, and then we will discuss what we did at Gaming Club just gone on Monday night. Then we'll have a little bit of a chat and interaction. There's a couple of news items that I wanted to get David's opinion on. And then about 9-ish, we'll wade into our main topic, which is essentially David and I were having a discussion with one of the guys, Dan, from our local club, about our favourite topic, which is Games Workshop and what a bunch of gobshits they are. And Dan used it's a bit of a well-worn phrase, the rising tide lifts all ships argument for, oh yeah, well, GW, they're so, at least they're expanding and growing this sector and growing the tabletop wargaming hobby. And David and I aren't sold on that. So we'll probably have a little bit of a chat. And to be fair, as I was sort of ruminating on the topic, I did think that it could apply in a lot of ways to Wizards of the Coast and role-playing as well.
Well, that was when we had a quick talk about it on Monday, wasn't it? After club, we had a quick Mackies, then we went outside for a smoke and a vape. Yeah. So
anyway...
He was like, what are we doing this week? So we'll cover that later.
We will get right under that bonnet after 9 o'clock. So mate, do you want to go first? What you're all sort of super raring to go, mega organised. What are you cracking on with then, buddy?
if you want to come down to the camera.
Oh, let's go down. Let's go
Let's go
down
live.
to the camera. So, content display. We want David's.
Still haven't found my lost Necromunda mini. Shock horror.
Whoops.
What's here?
3, 2, 1. David's in the room. There you go, mate. Your camera's up for everyone.
Tonight we're painting Necromunda bases.
Oh, right. Okie dokie.
And Necromunda miniatures, if it focuses. There we go.
While you're showing people your shinies, I should check the chat.
I do, however, want to lean on you and the people at home for the colour scheme of this bastard and what I should do him. Because I'm not a fan of the red box art, but I don't know what else to paint him.
They're classically like they're Goliaths, aren't they? So they tend to be red metallics and flesh, don't they?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know whether to go for like orange and black, like he's just escaped from a prison colony.
Ooh, that I tell you what, that might be a good look. Do you know the prisoners from the Arkham Batman games? Those classic bright orange
jumpsuits.
Yeah. That's a good call, mate. That might be a good look. Hot pink. Look at Limburger. Hot pink with white polka dot.
Don't tempt me, Limburger. Don't tempt me.
Tartan.
Bright orange undersuit, and then do black and metal armor, and then I could always put some brown rust effects in there.
Yeah. The only thing to remember, all of your rust effects are in the same palette as your orange.
Yeah, but if I've got black weapons and steels, it'll
don't overdo it. Otherwise, because again, what are you thinking for your skin tones?
I want to mix. I'm gonna have some. I'm gonna paint. You know that Carnivale miniature you really like? Leans out of shot to get it.
Narrow it down for me. Oh, the last one you did. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So like that rich, creamy Mediterranean. Yeah.
Yes.
Just remember again, orange is quite a dominant note in that skin tone as well. So
plus also possibly some Afro-Caribbean skin
I mean, yeah, variation. I tell you what, an Afro-Caribbean skin colour would look great with the orange and the black. And it'll really help to separate all your rusted weapons from your orange fabric from your actual skin tone. That's one of the problems with doing a tons of Caucasian is that, again...
Crispin has wandered into chat and already fucking lowered the tone by mentioning S&M.
Yeah, well...
Cheers, Crispin!
That's Crispin. Crispin's job is to mention S&M, gag ball. Yeah. And rust effects on the bum. Oh my god.
Cheeseme's coming out with a nice idea here. Bronze armor with green verdigris.
Yeah. The problem with the bronze, again, it's got orange notes in it. I wonder if all of your colours are squatting on the same lawn. Do you know what I mean?
Don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to paint the bases first. The bases I've found a tutorial for on the internet from Rob Paints Minis. Rob Paints Models.
We're back to Dave.
We're following that.
Good old David. Captain Tutorial. Good man.
Counterpoint. Why reinvent the wheel when somebody else has already done it?
No, that's fair. That's fair. To be fair.
I'll tell you the other thing I've seen both Cheeseme, Darren and Tim on the Instagrams.
You see white.
Is the really, really pasty, like white and with green and purple hue skin tones. Like they've not seen the light of day in their entire fucking lifetime. To
be fair, that's very Necromunda, and obviously white and orange is a classic pairing. That actually is a genius idea in my opinion, because the thing is,
I don't need one right now, Crispin.
Though they do have a lot of skin on show, those Goliaths, from memory, don't they?
They do, like they're naked from the waist up.
Yeah, a real almost albino white, because the other thing again, you can, by going for like a grey white, really pale skin tone, you'll take all of the orange out of it, and it'll give you some real contrast.
But rusty bronze is not orangey, screams cheese.
No, rusty bronze is green. I'll give you that, Limburger, yes. But obviously, I mean, unless he literally goes ham with the verdigris type effects, any of the remaining showing metal might get a little bit lost. Because again, the thing is as well, you've got to take into account what those Goliath minis are, because there really isn't an awful lot on them, is there, mate? I mean, they're essentially they're half naked with armor plates, lots of metallic weapons, and then if you're lucky, a pair of trousers or breeches, which you paint in a fabric colour, isn't there? There's not much to them other than that, is there?
No, there is not.
They don't have like long flowing capes and exotic uniforms and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but who needs exotic uniforms in the Underhive?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying from the point of view of planning a painting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not criticising the artistic sort of like merit of the models.
Direction,
yeah, but I'm just saying that it does create things that need to be taken into account when you are doing your paint scheme. So I am going to be ploughing on with my Carnivale. It was painting competition at the club this month, but sadly only David and I entered. But what I will try and do is get some pickies up for everybody at some point in the show. If David can amuse everybody like some sort of dancing monkey, I'll get them downloaded from my phone because I forgot to do that. Or from Discord.
I literally did think about messaging you earlier about it, and I was like, he'll be organised.
I always forget. So let's just go to... So Dracula went into the paint competition. I apologise for the dodgy focus on this. This is what I've been wrestling with for the 15 minutes before stream. Tim
Crispin, he says no, but his eyes scream yes. Tim?
Yeah, so videos, manual focus is what I was farting about at before stream and what caused me to get distracted and not get all the essential stuff set up. But this is the other miniature that I'm doing. Oh, this is the second miniature I'm doing for my Strigoi warband, some sort of vampire, sort of like woman or sort of countess type thing, some sort of noble. Should be. I've already got
KV2 Toon Tank.
I've got the skin tone down. At least a base colour, so I'm now just going in with the top highlights just to wash it all out and give it a real bleached look. And then the red's just got a base coat on, so we need to just build all that up.
It's a shame you didn't get it there for comp, mate.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have the two models in, but I just didn't get a chance. It is do you know what? It is a fantastic miniature. It is an absolute crying. Do you know what? This is going to come up later in the news, but here's a take. It is an absolute crying shame that TT Combat produce beautiful sculpts with greatly conceived miniatures, but their quality control on their resins is so hit and miss. Some of the stuff that I've had to assemble from them has got gaps. I mean, literally, if I can get the miniature and show everybody. Just bear with me, everyone. Let's see if we can get this in shot.
I know the reason why I fucking hate Citadel paints.
This miniature here is from the same box set, and you probably can't see it because of the way it's overhanging. But when I put this miniature together, the back of, for a start, it was a fucking the gaps on it were horrendous. This is about 1/4 plastic filler, this fucking lamppost. But in the back of her thigh, she doesn't have a blister or a bubble. It looks literally as if somebody's taken a 2mm drill bit and punched a cylinder clean out of her leg. Some of the defects on these things are fucking horrendous, and it's a shame.
Placement leaves a lot to be desired as well.
It is a shame because some of the miniatures are beautiful. They really are great. And as I say, this will come up later in the news. So yeah, there we go. That's what we're up to. I noticed that we've had some. Tim's just finished an off-brand Lego Blues Brothers car. KV22. Is this all sort of like Lego knockoff stuff, Tim? Are they all little mini Lego kits or something? Yes, the mini is dancing because I can't put fixed focus on because it's a nightmare. But I will work it out. There has to be an easier way. Excellent. Right. So then, mate, do you want to tell everybody about Monday?
Oh, it's a joint effort, really, isn't it?
It was.
We
because
both went and played some Nemesis with our good friend Luke and Dan.
Yep.
And my fucking god, was it awesome. We got 2 games in, didn't we?
We did, because the first one, to be fair, we were sort of like, what's the word? We were sort of, we had issues, we weren't quite playing the rules right, and it meant that the game didn't flow quite right. So the first game ended very quickly with basically the ship caught fire and spread out of control, didn't it? And basically wiped us out. But yeah, then we got a second game in, which was a bit of a stretch because we didn't quite get that finished, did we?
No, we didn't, but we got a fair way through it. Because you completely forgot how to play the game. Well, your objective.
To be fair, yeah, that it wasn't so much of a I forgot how to play the game. I just played like a complete idiot. And the thing with, for those who haven't played Nemesis, the board game, it is one of those sort of hidden traitor games where everybody has a secret objective. And you, ostensibly on the surface of it, you are trying to make it so that your ship, which has been taken over by aliens. Think the plot of the first Alien movie, but instead of picking the alien up from the planet, basically the alien comes out of one of your colleagues in cryo sleep and takes out, and then so you've got aliens on the ship, and the rest of the crew come out of cryo sleep, and they've basically got to activate the engines, activate the navigation, and then get back into cryo sleep so the ship can get them safely back to Earth. Before the
abandon ship.
Or you can get off with the escape pods before the everything kicks off. So ostensibly you're working as a team to achieve that, but then the game hands out secret objectives to everybody, so that everybody works on their own sort of
it
win con.
hands you to, doesn't it? And
yes.
You pick at the point alien arrives. Yes.
So, and I, being a bit of a doofus, forgot that I sort of forgot all about the objectives and ended up sort of like just plodding on with let's escape, and realising that my objective card wasn't that. So I was like,
everybody to die.
Whoops. Yeah, I managed to pick an objective card which was kill everybody except me. So there I am playing Captain Heroic and Mr. Good Guy, and realising, I've stitched myself up here when can't win. What a twat.
And then ran off to fucking start detonating the engine, and then that's where it all started going wrong, wasn't it? Yeah,
to be fair, the guys did. I can't remember who it was, you or Luke, saying about, but what's your objective? And I was like,
it was me, wasn't it?
Oh, hang on. And then, like you say, it was like, okay, change your plan. I'm going to set the self-destruct and blow the ship up. But it was too late by then. Basically, I'd ballsed it. It was too late.
Marth will be back in 5. So that's pretty much what you did, wasn't it?
Yeah. Sort of like, don't mind me, everybody. I'm going to do something else. Let's upload them to this directory. Right.
Ginger's being Ginge.
Hopefully that'll be the painting competition photos uploaded to my OneDrive where I can get at them so we can show them to people later. Now I need to crack on.
The car was off-brand Lego. The rest are proper models.
Oh, right. What, proper models, but not Lego models, obviously?
Yeah, the X-Wing or the KB-22 tank.
Excellent. So are they... What scale...
Darren's working on some biscuits and coffee.
Okay. Oh, he has been hobbying all day, though. Working on an ungodly amount of lizard men, snake men, and tribesmen. Is this for your 5 leagues? Is it 5 leagues from the Borderlands? Is that what they call it? Is that for your 5 leagues, Darren, or is it some sort of army project? Very good. Look at this. Everybody's putting us to shame here. They're bloody cracking on. I know I'm getting nothing done here.
No. You're the only one here not doing anything.
Right, okay. Let's remedy that. So, yes, so that was Club. I must confess, I am enjoying our...
We do love a co-op board game.
We do
love a board game, even.
I'm enjoying our giving board games a chance in the sun, to be fair. Because it's... Do you know what? It's been on my mind a lot. Role-playing is really the only... Role-playing is the only sort of slice of the hobby pie that I am giving really no love to at all now.
Yeah, I mean, again, the other thing for us, with the board games once a month thing that we do, the first night of the month, it allows us all to bring and play something different. So I've got Armada and not Armada, Everdell, League of Infamy, and Arkham Horror that I can bring. You can bring Arkham Horror LCG plus Everdell.
Plus,
I mean, again,
plus Aliens versus
Maze.
and Aliens versus Predator board game, and Big Trouble in Little China, and Assassin's Creed, and Gotham City Chronicles. Yeah, the only issue with Big Trouble in Little China is at high player counts it goes long.
Yeah, we just say 3 or 4. That's it.
Yeah, we will struggle at max player count. We will struggle to get it done in 4 hours, both sides. Which is a shame because it is it is a beast of a game, but it is a great game, and I love the minis. The other thing that we need to do is get some Assassin's Creed played at the club, because although I've started the solo campaign, I'd love to everybody else to get a chance to go in on that because it's a great game, and I think it's the kind of thing that we could play like 4 missions in a night, 5 missions in a night, maybe. Certainly the introductory ones, because they're quick. Really quick.
Yeah, probably a couple of the bigger missions.
Yeah. And then, obviously, I've got my Gotham City Chronicles as well coming. The thing is, again, only doing it once a month, it's a lot. You know, it's just not enough time. Does everybody else find this? Not enough time to do all the gaming you want to do. I suppose it's first world problems, isn't it? Nice problem to have.
There's worse problems to have.
Yeah, definitely.
YouTube is whinging at me that my laptop is full of data. Well, no shit, Sherlock. So yeah, it's the news this week. Where do we start?
Well,
start the top, work down, start the bottom and work up, or start somewhere in the middle and arbitrarily jump around, because that's...
Basically, let's just start. I'm going to mention the first thing. So, although I am up for a bit of GW bashing, as everybody knows, I like this. Somebody shared this in our club Discord.
Was this today?
Crispin saying not enough time to do what I want as age creeps up. I'll be honest, Crispin. My hobby, my indulgence in terms of time is getting easier as I've got older now. The kids have grown up, left home, blah blah blah. But it's actual time for gaming. I get time to do hobby because I can pretty much sit and grab a half an hour when I want. But scheduling and planning gaming without, particularly when you've got a significant other, without making her completely alienated and, look like you are essentially fucking hobby widowing her, is really difficult. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, even the solo stuff, Darren says in the chat he's struggling to find time for everything. Wants to start a new 5 parsecs from home campaign. Yeah.
I mean, again,
Go on.
I did the thing last summer, didn't I? Obviously with Hugh and Laura, and tried to get Laura involved. It worked a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And then.
Yeah, but you give it a go. I mean, it's a sticky one because obviously what we do is so weird and niche. It doesn't have that mass appeal, and if somebody's not into it, they're just not into it, are they? I mean, no. I've tried all sorts of things with Ross, my wife. We've tried the cutesy Animal Everdell board game and other things. We've tried, I've tried all sorts.
Told Jerry, but I'm removing mould lines and sprue gates from the model. But Tim, Jerry wants you to remove them.
Yes, but if he does, to be fair, I wouldn't worry, Tim, because I'm sure you'll miss some, and then Jerry will just go on about those.
Unfortunately, Crispin, I don't have a wife or significant other, so the wives don't get along at all because there's no wife to get along with. But yes, that is a good shout for those that know.
Yeah, to be fair, if your hobby buddy and you and your hobby buddy's significant others can form their own friendship, okay, that's manna from heaven, isn't it? It's like, yes, you children go away and play. We will talk adult stuff. It's sort of like that's the dream. I love the way Jerry bursts in his underpants. Aha! Oh dear, there you go, Crispin. That mental image is free.
And then Crispin has to lower the tone.
Miss his hand. Yeah, okay, Crispin. Anyway, enough news. This was shared in our Discord server for our club, and I just want to flag it because I am sure that there are people out there who are creative writers on the QT, and if you are somebody who's got a bent for writing fan fiction or short stories or that sort of thing, Games Workshop are asking for Black Library submissions. It's quite a narrow theme. Basically what they want people to do is write, I think it's a 5,000 to 10,000 word story around some sort of successor Marine chapter. So yeah, it's Marines, but do you know what? Give it a go. Bombard them with crap. They've asked for it. Give them it. I must confess, we have until the 11th of February to complete submissions, and I'm sort of tempted to just throw something down myself. I do like a little bit of creative writing.
What are you thinking? Raven Guard successor?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. Because again, it comes down to story, doesn't it? You've got to have a good story idea. That's the thing. I mean, it may be about Marines, but if the story idea isn't sound, it's just going to get passed over. Plus the fact I don't know what they're looking for, so whether they're looking for somebody to bring and develop the story on, or whether they're just going to,
nick
it and run with it, I don't know. But as I say, I thought, do you know what? I like this is the sort of positive community interaction I like to see. And it's
we have spoken about before.
Yeah, and it's unusual to see on Warhammer Community.
Mace's hands, plural. I bet David is ambidextrous. Is that the correct word?
I'm glad he said ambidextrous and wasn't implying it required two hands, because that's like that's
wrap it round your waist.
yeah, that's just a whole new level of don't want to visualize that. Yeah, they may want to own the right to publish it all for free. Yeah, I mean, again, I get it, Limburger. You're probably right. Yeah. Here's my short story idea. Oh, you've made a novel. Well, thanks. But do you know, again, aside from the commercial cynicism of it, this sort of like encouragement of people to engage with your game because again, it's about engaging with your product and your IP in the way of telling stories. Yes, there might be a cynical commercial element to it because it's Games Workshop. But let's be honest, we'd be fucking shocked if not. But taking aside who it is, what it is, I think is a great thing to see. And, you know, when it's done without cynicism, you know, I mean, if Weird Miniatures did this sort of thing and then published them on their website with full credits or whatever, it's a great thing to encourage out of your fan base, I think. So that's the first thing that I wanted to flag. Do you have any view, David? Or had you seen this?
I've read a couple of like the Dan Abnett Black Library novels, but other than that, not really. It's not really my jam or my thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate reading when you guys have put together that kind of stuff, but I'm fucked if I'm doing it.
Right,
my creative writing days are long behind me.
But what about in the more general sense of a company, you know, asking for that sort of thing from its fans or encouraging that sort of thing in its fans? What do you think?
I personally, and this is just my 2 cents on the matter.
Yes, that's what I'm asking you for.
Whilst encouragement is nice, it's also nice to have a player base that don't go out of their way and have to have encouragement in the form of do this to get shit or become a writer for the enjoyment of a game.
Yeah.
And its lore and its setting.
To be fair, though, I don't think that that's the case. I think there are quite a lot of fan fiction sites out there that are loaded up with 40k. Everybody can correct me if I like Moorcock as well, Crispin. Oh, you mean the writer? Ba-bum! Oh, they've done it before. Apparently, they published them in an anthology. You see, Jerry, the Oracle, knows all.
You say knows all. I say knows more than us. Because we will find...
That's true. Because
we will find a day when Jerry won't be able to answer our question.
Not only that, when you say he knows more than us, we know next to nothing. So actually, it's a fairly easy yardstick to beat, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it's all said and done. So yeah, that was my first thing. No, but yeah, I was going to say that I think there are quite a few websites out there that are full of GW fan fiction. So I think it goes on without GW's encouragement, mate. In fairness, and I know what you're saying about the player base, but I think for every Spike, is it out there that there's a Timmy for 40k?
What?
Well,
they're fucking smoking.
Come on, back me up in the chat, people. They're the 3 classic archetypes of gamers. You get Spikes, who are people who are they're only interested in competitiveness and sort of like the adversarial nature of gaming. You get Timmies. Timmies are interested in the sort of like, I think this is right, interested in the narrative and story-driven aspects of games and IPs. And then there's a third type, isn't there, everybody? Jerry will know this. He'd probably... To be fair, talking about the Black Library thing, I can see everybody sort of got talking about that. I think the Kim Newman and for Jack Yobless' Pano stories are pretty good at Christmas. I've read some of the Horus Heresy stuff because I got a really good Humble Bundle deal for the ebooks, and I enjoy them. They're okay. Even the ones that I think Paul is having a stroke. Even the ones that, shall we say, get negative reviews. I'm reading one on the Battle for the Abyss or something now, and apparently it's got slated. But I think it's actually quite a good book. It's really interesting if you're into the lore for the Word Bearers and how they sort of like were responsible for kicking off the whole heresy thing. I think it's quite cool. The opening chapters are pretty badly written, particularly the dialogue. The dialogue is fucking terrible initially. In like the opening chapters, weirdly enough, it's like no human being talks to another human being like that, even if they're a space marine. It's like so fucking wooden. But actually, if you push on through those first few chapters where it's just basically ultramarine fanboy shit. Oh, right, okay, Crispin. No. Yellow Belly comes from where we're from in the country, mate. I think I promised to talk about this before and then never did. So David and I are both from South Lincolnshire here in the UK, which is an area of farmland it's all very rural, and going back several hundred years, it was largely fenland, and it was far less drained.
Salt marshes.
Yeah, it was far less drained and settled than it is now. And the people from this area, we've always lived a rural Arab rural farming existence. One of the things about people from this area was one of the staple meats was eels that they used to catch from the dikes and the fenland pools, and eels have yellow bellies. For anybody who's seen an English eel or British eel,
also.
So that's where the name.
There's two or three reasons with yellow belly, isn't there? There's like the one you said about the eels.
That's the one I know.
I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was around English Civil War type of point. The lads and the regiments from Lincolnshire wore a yellow. Is it smoccasin? The jacket.
I don't know, mate. You'd have to tell me.
Basically, the undershirt was yellow, and then they had the jacket over the top of it.
I imagine if they did, it was probably an homage to the fact that they were already called yellow bellies.
No, but this is another thing, and then another reason off the top of my head, I can't remember the story exactly, and I'll find it out for next time. For those that care and give a shit, is something to do with mosquitoes and similarly the marshes. So,
as I say, the one that I've read most commonly in local history and one I learned as a child was that people from our neck of the woods are called yellow bellies colloquially because eel was the main diet in the late medieval period when this was all just fucking, like David says, swamp and marshland.
Well, I was going to say, average height above sea level for our area. You're lucky if it's a meter.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if the local authorities run a massive complex of pumping stations to keep basically the sea at bay, without human intervention, this would still be marshland, wouldn't it, mate?
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about is essentially what we've already discussed, but from a different angle.
No one said we enjoyed them, Darren. Sorry, just to cut across there.
No, that's fine, mate. You cut across. Why? What's Darren saying? I'm
about eels being a strange southern food.
to be fair, it's one of those meats I've never eaten. I'm not afraid to try weird stuff, but I haven't ever had eel. I don't know what it's like, but it is something that I haven't had. So let's cue this up. So another thing that I watched, this was actually put up today, I think. So
fucking hell, hot off the press.
We've just been talking about TT Combat and the fact that it's a crying shame that they have some quality. And again, I don't know if anybody knows. Feel free. Jerry might have an idea. Please chip in as to why TT Combat have got issues with their quality control and their resins. But Discourse put up a video today. She's a fan of Batman Miniatures game, and to be fair, so am I. I do like the game, and I've played a fair bit, and I would love to play more if I could fit it into my gaming calendar. But Batman Night Models, who run the Batman Miniatures game, have again had they've got a reputation for being they produce great models, beautiful sculpts, but they've got their quality control and distribution is fucking shit. If you can get their products, which is a big if, because 90% of the time you can't get their bloody products at all. If you can get their products, you have all sorts of issues with components missing from boxes, badly cast pieces, because they use a lot of resin.
Yeah.
And it's been a problem for going on for years. I mean, like Discourse says in the video, there've been bad times, and then it seems that they get on top of it and they get better. There's a guy called Flick, F-L-I-K, Flick's Tabletop Gaming. He does a lot of Batman video content on YouTube. And
I was going to say, you've given him a good shout out before.
And I watch his Batman battle reports. They're very watchable. He's a good lad, Scottish lad. And he did an unboxing of I don't watch unboxing videos. It's one of those pieces of content that really doesn't appeal to me. But he did a big unboxing of a crap ton of stuff he ordered from Night Models. And it finally got delivered. And he's literally unboxing stuff live on camera. And he's got an empty box. He goes to open the box and there's literally nothing in it. Just a cardboard inner sleeve. And it's just fucking tragic, you know, because the game is good. It's a good game. The models, some of them are exquisite. Most of them are very, very good. They've got beautiful proportions. They're really dynamic. Some of the sculpting ideas are great. I mean, it's a borrowed IP. It's Batman. So they don't, you know, in terms of the art design and art direction, they're taking a lot of input from other sources. So, I mean, I suppose that credit can't go to them. But still, you know, even with that, they do produce some beautiful miniatures, but then they fall down at the you know, you produce great stuff, but then you can't get it into the hands of your customers, or you can't get it into the hands of your customers consistently. And it's just fucking tragic. I don't know what the problem is with Night Models. I don't know if it's a scale thing. I don't know if it's a management thing. I don't know if it's a problem. I don't know if there's a backstory to it.
Manufacturing location?
I think they're set in Spain. I think they're in Spain. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're a Spanish company.
Just because the Spanish company makes things in Spain doesn't necessarily mean that cast items going in your package are from Spain.
No. I mean, again, I don't know too much, but I watched this video with a tear in my eye and thought, fuck's sake. Because again, Batman was a game I wanted to play more of this year. if I get the chance. At least get 2 or 3 games in if I could before the end of the year. But and it's just depressing, you know, because it's like again, the biggest thing that Discourse is saying is it makes it so hard to recommend this game. You know, can you imagine recommending the game to someone? You know, or even
what they buy
you play a taster game with them, and then they're like, "Do you know what? I can't get any. I tried to get the starter set, I can't get it." Or they get the starter set, and half the pieces are missing, or there's no fucking bases in it, or do you know what I mean? And it's just like, fucking ridiculous. Stuff like that really irks me. Do you know what I mean? When you've obviously got great creatives and they're just backed by bad business. It just really is sad, is the best way to put it, mate. It's just sad. So that was another thing. Let me just go back to the main shot. What else did we have here? Oh, I think we talked about this one. So as part of our sort of like hobby, we tend to share a lot of stuff, don't we, mate? We sort of like we again, it comes down to, I think, the idea of this video. So we're talking about Uncle Atom, tabletop minions. So Uncle Atom. So yeah, Star Wars Legion Lichisme says is the same, great game, but you can't get anything. So yeah, again, it's that's even more egregious, isn't it? Because why the hell with Fantasy Flight backing them can they not distribute that? That's bonkers.
But print times, lead times, because again, FFG have issues with X-Wing. They have issues with Arkham getting stock out and getting reprints out, etc.
To be fair,
for FFG, it's the fucking supply chain that's biting them in the arse.
To be fair, you know what? Since they've revised the way that they actually do package and produce the product line, so they've broken down like for the card game, particularly the multi-components, into just 2 boxes. Yeah. Their stuff's a lot more reliable and a lot easier to get for that game, at least. I don't really know in general because I don't really buy a lot of other FFG stuff. But anyway, Uncle Atom was trying to make a point around this whole business of making sort of hobby commitments for the coming year. But in a more general sense, it's a really fascinating video because he leans on science. And obviously, as a scientist, AMG, Atomic Mass Games, isn't it, Tim? It's a FFG makes more money from cocaine. Okay. Crispin with the hot take. So he leaned on this bit of science, and there's scientific evidence to show that actually the more you sort of like tell people about stuff that you are going to do, the less likely you are to achieve it or get it done.
Oh god, that's Assassin's Creed dead for me.
Well, to be fair, mate, it is dead anyway. We knew that.
It's not dead.
But the other reason I thought this video was really exciting for me is that if the video and the science behind this video is right, then I have got no worries about winning my bolt action bet.
I need to disprove the scientist, it would appear.
Oh dear. So it's only a short video. I'll try and put a link in the show notes as well. But as I say, it's basically it's Uncle Atom telling everybody the way to be successful and get stuff done is tell nobody about it and just keep it to yourself. Yeah, but then you
just surprise people with it, and then
yeah, as I say, I just thought it was a really interesting take on the hobby resolutions thing, because everybody else was doing a video much of the muchness, and then he comes out with this from left field, and I thought, yeah, that's a good video. That is a very good video. So, and then there's one more, and this video is huge. So, Miniac did a huge video over half an hour. Again, it's his sort of like beginning of 2023, goodbye to 2022 video. There's all sorts of stuff in this. It's a massive 30-minute epic for those people who want to sit through it. It's not a bad video. He reviews comments that he's had on his videos. He goes over what are his best performing videos of the year. What are they on about in the chat? They're doing the bloody parrot sketch from Monty Python.
I think what they mentioned asking the main man, and I think what they mean is summon the Jerry, if he's still here.
Oh, okay,
Evening,
right.
Dan.
Yes, evening, Dan. So yeah, Miniac goes on about all sorts of stuff in this video. The thing that's really interesting from this is that Miniac gives a few sort of like pointers or hints at things that he's going to commit to for 2023.
Yeah, but he's told the internet about it now. He can't do it.
It's not going to happen. And one of the things that he mentions in his video is he's going to try and lobby his peers, certainly in the US, to basically try and kick the Games Workshop habit. You know, he goes on about my most successful video was about Games Workshop. My most successful Facebook post was about Games Workshop. And he then basically says the last 12 months of him have been revelationary in terms of he's encountered a load of new games, a load of new rule sets, stuff that he enjoys way better than Games Workshop. And there might be an element
playing it or doing content on it.
And there might be an element. The elephant in the room is there might be an element of bitterness about this because people who know that he got kicked out of the Horus Heresy event for putting a dodgy photo on Instagram or Facebook, and they kicked him out and sent him home, sort of thing. And there might be bad blood, but what he says is he's going to lobby his peers to try and make at least one video or one piece of content a month that's not GW focused, that's focused on some other game, some other miniatures line, some other something. And you know, all credit to him. Yeah, at the moment it's just a verbal commitment, and maybe he will do it, maybe he won't do it. Maybe these peers will say, yeah, fuck off, we want 10,000 views, not 1,000 views, or 100. We want 100,000 views, not 2,000 views, so we're not doing it. But you know, if he's serious, good on you, Scott. You fly that flag, bro. I think it's a great thing if he does do it.
It's needed.
And that's me done, mate. That's sort of my week in brief. The things that I've seen that have piqued my interest or thought were worth mentioning and sharing with the boys and girls.
There's one that we haven't mentioned.
GW does get the clicks, Limburger. Yeah. That
links with the topic that we said about on Monday night at McDonald's.
Which is?
Green Stuff World.
That links with the topic.
Yeah, and commandeering stuff, and
I wouldn't say it links with the topic. The main topic.
It doesn't link with the topics, but we did mention it.
Yeah, we did mention it. I'll be honest. I mentioned it more to you in passing because I just thought, for everybody who doesn't know, Green Stuff World were involved in a little bit of controversy this week. Discourse Miniatures made a video about it, and there's loads of other stuff out there. I believe the nuts and bolts of it are Green Stuff World are a distributor of 3D resin busts, big display busts, and they saw one of the products that they sell painted up by some absolute fucking legend on Instagram. I apologise, but I don't know the guy's name. And essentially, they took the photo from his Instagram post and then used it on their website as the photo to sell it from.
Gets better than that. gets better than that, because I did a bit of reading after you said about it.
Right, David's got the full SP. Let's let him tell us.
Took said Instagram post, put it on the website without any credits to who had painted it or whatever. The artist then DCMA requested them because you're using my picture without my permission. And they credited him very briefly for it. They then recoloured the fucker in Photoshop very well and put it back up without any accreditation, i.e. this has been painted, and you could tell it was a recolour in Photoshop. So he DCMA'd them again and basically said, look, stop using my picture, stop recolouring the picture, give me proper credits or fuck off. And it's now back on the webpage with proper credits. So hats off to Green Stuff World for doing it, but it should not have required 2 DCMA requests and controversy.
Yeah,
because
I mean...
they've done this before.
And
they've got prior.
And Green Stuff World's defence was that it was a communication mix-up because the marketing team were supposed to approach the guy for permission and the web team didn't, blah, no, blah. Basically, they just sort of like tried to make out that it was an honest mistake. But like David said, this business about modifying the image because they recoloured it, then they grayscaled it after the second DCMA request, and they just kept persisting with trying to get the image passed. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, why? What the fuck, man?
Just take it down.
And as David said, if you go out there, there was a scandal from 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that? Was the one where
that was over shifters? So
that was the colour shift.
You cannot use the trademark of colour shift because it's on the bottles.
But it's only trademark registered in Spain. So as long as you're outside of Spain, you're fine.
Well, somebody was reviewing a Vallejo product that is colour shift, not shift, or shifters, the Vallejo brand for it now.
Yeah, because Vallejo had to rebrand, didn't they, mate? All it was the person used old stock to make a video. They used old product that was released. Vallejo had an issue with Green Stuff World. They said, fair enough, we'll change our product, blah, blah, blah. But the stuff was already in circulation. This YouTube content producer happened to own the old stuff, put it on camera, and got their videos taken down and got fucking bullshit through YouTube. And basically, Green Stuff World were dicks about it.
Yeah.
So again, they've got prior for being dicks, is what David's saying.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Because again, they were like, well, we didn't want the content creator's video to be taken down. Yeah, but you did nothing to help them get it back on because you were still DCMAing the shit out of it.
Yeah. Here's a tip. If you don't want that to happen, don't put in a fucking DCMA, you twat. Oh my God. Fucking people. So yeah. I suppose that's... I mean, again, to be fair, that I didn't put that one up because, as David said, it has come to a happy ending. Apparently, the image is now being used with proper accreditation and reimbursement. They have come to an agreement with the original painter, and it's all come out in the wash. And, really, was all that drama absolutely required, people? Was it really necessary? No.
I wonder how big Green Stuff World is. Doing this kind of thing must hurt them when it all comes out. I mean, they're not the biggest.
I think
they're growing. They're growing fucking rapidly.
Yeah. That's the thing. Limburger cheese meat. I mean, Green Stuff World have had a host of problems that have basically been internet spats, and you're right, the company goes from strength to strength. they produce good products. I mean, we all know like the texture rollers, which there's another story behind.
Fucking hell yeah! I was about to say there's that as well, isn't that?
Nicking that from a German designer. They've got their dipping inks and
the colour shift paints.
So you're right. The companies, and I think to be fair, the company is expanding. I mean, going back a few years, I think they were like a family business, like just a few people. But I think they're actually getting to be quite a sizable operation now. But it's just.
Well, again, they've even got like the hobby lights and stuff.
That's on Tim's. Tim's got spot on, Tim. We need stuff to talk about. It was absolutely necessary. Just to give us miserable old curmudgeons something to moan about.
Again, I've used the Green Stuff World colour shift and the Vallejo colour shift. They're much of a muchness. You can't tell the difference, really. The Green Stuff World stuff, in my opinion, is slightly better than the Vallejo stuff, because unfortunately Vallejo, with the colours that they have chosen, if I can find a bottle quickly, they've gone very similar. So it goes from like a purple to a silver, or it's like a deep orange to a yellow. Whereas Green Stuff Worlds is like, it's blue and then it's fucking neon green. They're completely polar opposites depending on the angle.
They've got really good pigment separation on them, haven't they?
And we've said that we want to try some GSW dipping inks. We want to try the Vallejo Express colour. Like, the value for money on those versus other people in the marketplace is insane. Particularly the dipping inks. Fucking, what is it? €6 or €10 for 60, like a huge bottle? Yeah, it's going to last you a lifetime.
It's like, it's a ridiculous amount of paint for the money. When compared to the competition, it's just like absolutely annihilationally good.
And this is the wise, and they're going from strength to strength, and
I
mean, they have every right to protect their brand. But
ultimately, as they're expanding as a company, I mean, this one just looks bad because they're not even
doing it to protect the company with the DCMA request for the trademark infringement.
Even if it was a communication breakdown, where the fuck does the image manipulation and reposting bullshit come from? It just looks so weird. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yes, if you make a gaff, use an image that you don't have permission to use, take the fucker down, negotiate with the owner, put it back up. You know? Don't fucking get somebody in the office to quickly run that through Photoshop just to grayscale it or make it different colours for us.
Darren's made a good point here.
Yeah.
I think twice now if there's a choice of a similar product from another producer. And I like most of their products.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, Darren. They do produce reasonably good products.
So, 9:05.
Yeah,
it's a main topic o'clock.
It's main topic o'clock. So then, as we mentioned at the top of the show, there is this, I don't know.
Is Dan still here? Dan, if you're here, shout.
Why? Because Dan's get wicked. Yes, Dan. This topic is because of Dan. So when we were talking about Games Workshop after one of our club nights, we were bemoaning Games Workshop, as we do a lot for various reasons. And Dan mentioned that really, was it not a case that a rising tide lifts all ships? And that actually Games Workshop have done a lot of good for the hobby just by being successful.
And unfortunately, capitalism sucks balls. Because that, at the end of the day, is what drives it.
Yeah. That's a very good point, Cheese Me. It's a very good point. I mean, essentially, right, the argument is this, or the argument could be made that Games Workshop are an incredibly successful toy soldier company, miniature war game company. They are probably the biggest globally. I'm assuming in our industry. I don't know, have facts and figures in front of me, people, but I feel fairly confident in the assertion that Games Workshop are the largest global miniature war game firm. They probably have, in terms of market share, way more than anybody else, off the charts more than anybody else. They have got a fantastic IP that they license out in loads of different formats, video games, and
Video content,
etc. They've got their finger pretty much in every pie in terms of spinning their stuff off with like merchandising and
plushies and fucking
novels,
hoodies and everything, haven't they? Yeah.
Etc. I mean, you've got companies producing display models. There's 2 companies doing sort of like 40k display pieces, aren't they?
What is it? Bandai Namco.
Yeah.
One.
And then there's another company that's...
Is it Joy Toy?
Joy Toy, yes, it is. So they're huge. They're fucking huge. And to follow the logic of the rising tide lifts all ships argument, if you have a company that is hugely successful in a particular sector or industry, that tends to lift everybody in the same sector or industry by the fact that they're promoting and growing the sector. And I'm sure that clever, intelligent economists and people with, proper qualifications in business have done some research, and actually there probably is a truth to it. You can probably demonstrate that sector growth can be linked to even 1 or 2 successful firms lifting an entire sector. But I think it's more complicated than that. And I think that, like Cheeseme has said in the chat about consumer habits and consumer practice and consumer ethics, as a consumer, before you go shopping for something, will you buy from the company that you like the best, or will you just buy based on price or availability? Do you know what I mean? How are you,
what's your yardstick?
How are you measuring your buying decision? The same thing happens at the business at the other end of the transaction. If you're a big fish in a pond, there are ways that you can conduct your business that allows others to benefit from your success without malice and without
monopolizing.
That's the word, David. That's exactly the term. But by the same token, there are ways that you can conduct your business that will promote the formation of a monopoly industry or a monopoly sector. And that can involve aggressive buyouts, asset stripping and closing of competition. That can involve
aggressive marketing.
Aggressive marketing. And the problem is that I'm sure every Western nation has laws about monopolies. Okay, I know in the UK we have commissions that regulate the merging of large businesses to make sure that there are not monopolies in critical sectors. The problem is something like this that's a leisure sector, I'm sure is not on anybody's radar in terms of being a critical sector. It's not power generation, it's not food supply, it's not, do you know what I mean? It's just not going to be on anybody's radar. It's like, let the customer decide.
So we've got Tim Wading here with...
See you later, Darren. Thanks for being here.
raise everybody. Having someone with a quasi-monopoly drowns out the competition. Microsoft, anybody?
Yeah, that is another good example. Yeah, Microsoft, very good example, Tim. And I tell you another because I mean, obviously for David and me, this conversation started around Games Workshop, but everybody who's not been living under a rock will have seen the hoo-ha that has sprung up on the internet in the last few weeks about this open gaming license from TSR, or Wizards of the Coast rather. TSR, show me age there, everybody, hey. From Wizards of the Coast for Dungeons and Dragons. Have you seen this, mate?
Yeah, we mentioned it briefly on...
Yeah, so...
and I did a bit of research, didn't we? Because obviously now, with the new OGL that's being released with the new edition, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was supposed to be released on January the 4th. Obviously, it was leaked. Nobody knows. I don't think there's any official confirmation of where the leak came from, but it's suspected to be somebody within Wizards of the Coast themselves. And it's even been postulated in a video or two that I've watched that it was a deliberate attempt by Wizards of the Coast to see how it would go down. So they deliberately leaked it. Yeah. You know, in a lot of way that people conspiracy theory about GW leaks and actually wonder whether that they're actually something that GW does deliberately. I don't know. But regardless of whether it was leaked or whether they did it deliberately, essentially the TLDR is Dungeons and Dragons has become the most successful role-playing game by a country mile in its sector, and over fucking 30 years.
40 years.
I think it's well over 30, 40 years now, and a lot of people ascribe the success to the fact that there's always been in place an open gaming license, which meant that anybody could take Dungeons and Dragons ideas, concepts, game rules, whatever, and then produce content for the game. So they could produce adventure supplements, rules enhancements, loads of basically anything you want. And there was an element of, you could do it with no legal threats from TSR as it was then, or Wizards of the Coast as it is now. This sort of arrangement has stood for decades. And now they're going to put in a new one. They're rewriting the Open Gaming License, as it's officially called, and they're issuing a new version of it, which will, when it comes into force, will supersede the old one and make it no longer usable. So it's not as if you can stay with where you were. The old Open Gaming License will become defunct, so you can't, operate under its terms anymore. And essentially what it is, I mean, it isn't ridiculous in one regard. All it does is it says that if you start to make serious money off what you're doing, we want 25%. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for turning up. And on the face of it,
it's not
an unreasonable thing.
It's again, looking after yourself, looking after your company, looking after the development and R&D time and the play testing.
Interesting, Limburger. I shall check that out.
But at the same time, it is not in the spirit of a role-playing game, for point number one. And point number two for me is there's ways to do it without saying, right, the second you earn more than 50k, I'll have 25% of that, please.
I think it's actually the 25% threshold is quite high. Can somebody fact check me here? But I think it's like $750,000. It's bloody huge. There is some responsibilities that come in at quite a low threshold, like $50,000 or whatever. But the actual sort of like 25% royalties has got a pretty high threshold on it, so they're not literally going to sting and crush. I mean, they're not going to crush people who are doing it for the shits and giggles.
This now gives Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, the right to DCMA request, copyright strike, everything that they don't agree with, that makes over a certain amount of money, because it's like, you're not doing as per the new OGL.
Yeah. I thought it was
This
750k.
gives them ammunition.
Yeah, so I thought so, Jerry. Yeah, 50k you only have to report your accounts. Sorry, mate, you carry on.
But it gives them every ample opportunity to go, well, you're not complying with the latest OGL because you've not reported your accounts to us, for example, so that we can audit them and see if we are owed money.
Exactly.
Well, wonderful. While we're on that now, it's absurd. It's genuinely, in my opinion, there's better ways to look after your market and look after your fucking monopoly, because this is what they've got here. While there are other role-playing games, what happens the second anybody mentions RPGs? Oh, what? Dungeons and Dragons? Yes. Because to everyone on the street, Joe Blogs and everything else, it's the most popular. It's the most in common culture, etc.
The
other thing now is it doesn't just cover bloody written content, does it? It covers
it's everything. It's everything.
It covers the likes of Critical Role, streaming.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the companies that do get stung for it are only going to be companies that turn over. I mean, somebody's made a point about Kickstarters, because you may very well get £1 million Kickstarter, but you're not making £1 million profit. You're probably not even making enough profit that you can pay 25% to Wizards of the Coast and then complete on the Kickstarter. You're probably effectively dead at that point, because you're not running Kickstarter on 60% margins, are you?
No, not usually.
That is probably not something that's happening. But again, it's what I think it feeds nicely into what we've talked about with GW, right? Here, Games Workshop are the biggest fish in the pond, but they conduct their business in a way that tends towards monopolization and does not allow any cross-promotion, cross-pollination, or even cross-fertilization. Look at the way... You had a
very good hot take when we discussed this after Dan had said about it at Mackey's, that get in your time machine, roll back to when GW just first started out on the high street.
Yeah. I think Jerry, you'll know, when was the first GW opened in London, the first Warhammer store? Was it the early 80s?
What could have been just similar to another generic model shop on your high street, but just stock slightly more GW minis, turn into, no, we're going to aggressively promote only our own product, and it's only our product that can be seen in store, played in store, painted in store, and we're going to promote these paints. And it was just super aggressive on the strategy from the off.
I don't know as it was, mate. That I think you're right about the point it went wrong. I think 78, thanks Jerry, it was earlier than I thought. So like when Games Workshop initially started off, and Jerry will correct me if I'm wrong, but they did basically a lot of mail order business. They were a mail order firm. Then they got into high street retailing. And at the beginning, I am sure, I mean, in 1978, I was 7 years old. So I didn't even encounter D&D till I went to grammar school. So I would be 11 before I saw my first game of D&D. But as Games Workshop continued to sort of like benefit from their success because initially their stores weren't a monopoly. I am sure Games Workshop stores in the beginning stocked TSR products, they stocked other role-playing games, they probably stocked board games and stuff from all kinds of manufacturers that were around in the early 80s, okay? But at some point, Games Workshop got big, and it may have been at a point before it was even publicly listed. There was an opportunity at some point with Games Workshop to actually dissociate the game design company from the retail company.
Retail arm.
And one of the things that I think about, because I'm 50 and I've lived through most of it, is that if that had happened, and that every Warhammer store that you see in the high street in the UK was just a generic hobby store that stocked Warlord, Malifaux, bloody TT Combat, and that was a successful business venture on its own right, and that Games Workshop, the games company, made miniatures, models, and stuff that went out to retail, how different the face of wargaming could be. Now the pushback,
by the same token, look at Game UK has suffered because of the digital age, unfortunately, and it has shut a load of its stores. But you look at the growth of Game from like whenever their first store opened, I would hazard a guess late 90s to up until very recently in the COVID pandemic, with obviously digital gaming, stocking all of that, stocking merch for the digital games, etc. And they even started stocking Games Workshop products with percentages off. Because unfortunately, we're a bunch of geeky fuckers, and a lot of people are into both sides of the hobby.
But again, this is the cross-pollination idea, isn't it? This is the this is where, when you're a big firm, you can encourage some little hangers-on who just want to sell stuff at the periphery. You know, you can encourage this you can cross-fertilize. But I mean, here's a pushback against myself, right? I've got this dream in my head that we separate Games Workshop retail from Games Workshop design, studio, and games production, games manufacture. The pushback against me is, yes, Paul, but if they'd have done that, gaming would be less successful than it is, and they would be less successful than they are, because it was only by creating the monopoly situation that they then subsequently exploited for decades that they grew to be this colossus that they are. And I don't know what you guys think in chat, but the back of my brain, I sort of think I'm probably killing my own argument, and then that's probably got legs.
I would like to
and in fact, one of the guides said,
I'm just about to counterpoint
I was just let me give Cheese Me a shout out, because Cheese Me said very much similar thing. You don't get big by being nice, and actually he may be onto something. Sorry, go on, mate.
Who pays Joe's wages? Wayland.
Yeah.
What did Wayland start out doing? Just a generic Joe Bloggs store that sells a bit of everything.
Yeah, okay.
And have got bigger, have grown, have developed, have done everything, have bought game licenses, are developing games actively and proactively and making their own and linking stuff. I think Wayland is your dream scenario. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of what GW could have been.
Cheese Me has put, when has splitting a big company ever worked? To be fair, Cheese Me, obviously I work in the pharmacy and healthcare sector. There are times when companies divest themselves of things or parts of their business that they're intrinsically bad at managing because they don't understand what they're doing. and it serves to better the company. The only example I can think of immediately is Sainsbury's used to have pharmacies in a lot of their supermarkets, like Morrison's and Asda and whatever. Sainsbury's got rid of their entire pharmacy estate and sold the thing lock, stock and barrel to Lloyd's Pharmacy Group, or Mackeson, I think they were at the time, McKesson. Simply because Sainsbury's realised they didn't have the skill set and the management knowledge to run pharmacies.
We can't keep doing this, and it's not healthy.
So I don't think the argument that, you can never split a company off, or, you can never divest yourself of something. You can never divest yourself of something and that other thing doesn't do better without you or do better on its own. I mean, again, I think there are definitely examples. I get what you're trying to say, but I am sure that it wouldn't take much research to find I'm some examples of where it works.
I'm just thinking as well of, obviously, in my industry, we don't tend to have splitting. We tend to have the monopolies and buying out and mergers. So
that's much more common, yeah.
One example I can think of is John Deere needed some robotics help, amongst other things. They have a daughter company called Zuidberg.
Yeah.
And Zuidberg bought out one of the local companies here that really focuses on robotics and its integration into agricultural engineering. And they're now reporting direct to John Deere. So it's one of those things of mergers can be good. Splits are far less common. And like you say, it tends to be like the public sector as well. Like, again, when EDF and everything got split up in the UK, and divergence and that kind of thing, isn't it? For it, it's far less common to have your splits than it is to have your mergers and your growth for joining companies and monopolising.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely true that because of the way businesses operate, there is an economy of scale. Bigger businesses tend to outperform smaller businesses, and monopolies or pseudo-monopolies definitely is the way to go, whatever market you're in. If you're the only person selling what people want, you have got the fucking reins there, boy. So don't get me wrong. I am not saying for a minute that Cheese Me is not right, and that actually the sensible thing to do is to just keep swallowing up competition, or like David has said, if you've got a gap in your company, just buy another company that does it really well and just stick it in there. Don't fucking reinvent the wheel, just buy the wheel from down the road. Is that... It
probably works better than your square wheel that you were trying to design
as
well.
It's definitely... I mean, it's definitely a successful recipe for business. But what I'm saying is that I don't think that it's the only way, and I think although it might be harder, that you could definitely do it another way.
Well, I had a very good point that I wanted to make at Mackey's.
Go on then.
Content on the YouTubes. We obviously already all know that anything GW is clickbaity as fuck, and we'll get you those sweet
Hang on,
YouTube
mate. Whoa. Shade has been cast, right? Okay, listen, stop. Games Workshop, let's be clear, because that is not the case. Games Workshop videos get views because the audience is bigger. The videos don't have to be clickbait. They just get more views because the audience for them is larger.
You forgot where I was going with this.
Well, no, it's just that I just wanted to stop I just wanted to head their clickbait, because people do make valid 40k content that is not clickbait, that's not empty. Do you know what I mean? I was just sort of like heading the pejorative off, but carry on with your argument.
I went looking for Necromunda information.
Oh,
Necromunda
yeah, you said about this.
tutorials.
Yeah.
And it's not a GW
Yeah.
Golden Boy, therefore it doesn't get the love.
Oh, mate, yes, this is such a good point.
It's not a rising tide lifts all ships when the fucking GW themselves and the rising tide and tsunami that they are can't even lift their own fucking games up.
Yeah. Again, when David made this point at McDonald's, actually, it was one of those sort of like Saul on the road to Damascus moments where you just go, fuck. Because if a rising tide does lift all ships, why is it not even lifting all Games Workshop ships equally? Because like David's just said, if you want to search
for content, 40k content, you can find that fucking Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
Blood Bowl content, you can find it to a degree because it is quite a popular game, but it's not. It's not the Golden Boy. It's not the poster boy.
No. And I'm sure you can find Necromunda content. You can find, what are some of the other ones? Underworld's content, maybe. That's a bit weird. That's tricky because that's a board game, though. But it's not even in the same league, is it, mate? No. It's not even in the same league as the amount of 40k content out there. Even the AOS plays second cousin to 40k. You know? This week's... Yeah. Look at him. This week's sponsor, Burger King. Oh, dear. But, yeah, it's definitely...
Because for me, it was just that... In that particular moment, it was like, it's not a thing. Because if it did it lifted it all equally. Again, Wizards of the Coast... They have magic. They have what's it called? D&D. We've mentioned it already this season. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. I'm sure that they have other content out there that they produce. But it's not covered as well. I mean, again, there's the D&D licenses slapped on board games, MTG board games, etc., isn't there? But for me, again, I'm noticing a trend, right? And this is just my 2 cents on the matter. I don't know what your opinions are. Publicly traded is a recipe for salt. Go.
The problem is, mate.
I know they've got to keep the fucking shareholders happy. But fuck me.
But that is the only thing that they have to do.
Well, no, because otherwise the fucking share price tanks like a bitch and everybody sells.
Well, no, because they intrinsically do actions that will bolster the share price. This is why they're always pushing the envelope. They're always pushing the customer as far as the customer can be pushed without fucking walking off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you are dead right. Being publicly traded versus
Joe Blogs in the back alley.
Yeah, being publicly traded versus sort of like not definitely completely changes the whole direction and emphasis of the way that you conduct your business. But I mean, Jerry's just thrown... Have you seen Jerry sort of comment about, instead of saying it's a rising tide, what if it was trickle-down economics for gaming? No, you're right, Limburger. People just went back for AOS. And even if it was... people did walk away from Fantasy, but a load more people went back into AOS, and it may not have been the same customers, but it was customers.
Those sweet numbers matter.
I'm not sure, but this is the question, right? I don't have any industry data in front of me to see if there is a statistically accurate or if there's a link between, I don't know, growth sector growth, and GW growth. Okay, so I suppose that's what you'd be looking for. Do the two things entirely correlate? Does the spending within the entire sector correlate exactly with GW's growth and expansion? So when they grow, the sector grows by a similar amount. If they have bad times and share problems and their company goes through issues, the whole sector contracts. I mean, I don't have that information at hand, but I don't know. I in my head, I think it should be right. The point. If you, but again, look at a content creator like Miniac. Miniac's not a young lad. I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely not fucking 17.
He's not a whippersnapper,
right? He's in the business of making YouTube content. He's had a YouTube channel for years, and he made a video this year saying that the last 12 months have been revelationary in that he's discovered a load of games. I mean, he's talked about Bolt Action.
Fucking hell, is he feeling okay?
How old is Bolt Action? Right? There's just some, Games Workshop. The problem is the Games Workshop bubble wrap people.
You're very insulated.
And I can totally see why they would want to do it. If I was them, I would want to do it as well. Because I want to make sure, it's like, I am sure that the people at the local Toyota dealership would love to be able to get by telling people, there aren't any other cars but Toyota, We're the only people who make cars. Nobody else makes cars, it's only us. They would love it. But they can't get away with it because people see cars all the time. And they know there's a lot more cars in the world than Toyotas.
Well, again, even Toyota is actually a really good fucking example of, well, we can't sell a city car to a businessman. So what are we going to do? Well, I know, we'll make a new company and we'll call it Lexus. And we'll sell just exclusively to the businessman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's a whole question about branding, though, isn't it? That's a different thing.
Yeah, that is sort of brand and idea related as well. But the point there is, like you've already touched on, they don't even make, like you say, you could, devil's advocate, walk into your local Toyota garage. Oh, well, you can only buy from Toyota because we're the only ones to make cars. Back in the early days, when Ford started, yeah, that was the only case, and you can only have that in black as well, sir.
Look at Tim's comment. Oh my God, Tim! I'm so fucking glad that you came, mate. Oh dear. He's saying that Lexus is Toyota to Toyota and Forge World is to GW. We just took a peek inside Tim's head, everybody.
The Lexus quality is actually what you pay for, not models full of bubbles and issues and, salt.
Yeah, actually, you pay for quality with a Lexus, not faux exclusivity. Fucking bollocks. Jerry mentioned ICV2. Is all that information public, Jerry? Because I tried to access like a load of the reports, but I couldn't find them for free. There were loads of like sites that were offering to sell me the data, but I couldn't find it for now. So I don't know how that.
Lincolnshire and there's the war cry of how much.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if that's if the ICV2 or whoever does that study, I don't know if that's the way they make their money and make the whole thing worthwhile, is to say, yeah, this sector data, you can buy it, and I suppose that's be good if you're in the sector. But obviously, I'm as a poor content producer on YouTube, I wasn't going to pay for that. I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, I think I'm guessing from your comment, Jerry, that you believe that the rising tide lifts all ships argument is sound.
It was.
Well, I mean, just sound off in the comments, guys. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth, but just on a basic level, do you think it's true that Games Workshop success is a good thing for all other war game companies? You know, and regardless of degree, don't worry about, well, it sort of is, but they could do a lot more to make it more of a thing. Just, is it yes or is it just no? The way they conduct their business actively makes it difficult for other companies to get into the customer's face, people's hands.
Oh, we're 22. We're doing all right.
So Jerry's a no. Jerry doesn't think the lifts all ships argument is sound, and that, which is what we thought. I think, mate, wasn't it? We were in agreement. And to be fair, the Wizards of the Coast, right? Dungeons and Dragons is the most popular RPG in the world because it's fucking everywhere. One of the reasons it's everywhere, and that there are 1,000 different resources for it just at the fingertips of everybody who wants to get into role playing, is the open gaming license, and the fact that it's been handled with such a kid glove touch for 40 years. If Wizards of the Coast want to make sure that they don't lose out on a single US dollar that is to be made off that IP, the only thing that I think will happen is that they will lose market share in role playing.
While we're touching on it, the vibe I'm getting from this new OGL agreement is very much buy our product or fuck off. And that may be very devil's advocate and polar, but it's definitely the vibe I'm getting. Do you know what I mean? Can you hear me, Ginge?
Yes, mate. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Carry on.
So it's a tough one because, again, they have every right to say, well, after 40 years, actually, we want to make a little bit more. But there's better ways of going about it.
Yeah. I don't think in principle that people would say that changing the open gaming license, putting in some sort of financial threshold so that when you become uber successful, you owe them a little bit of a pushback. I don't think you could argue with that.
No, and I'm not trying to argue.
It's just, and again, it's a draft document. So it's been, again, a couple of the videos I've watched, they've postulated that they will amend the details based on the feedback and the community outrage, which is why there's this argument that the whole thing's been staged. And I think, to be fair, it makes sort of sense. Again, I don't know. I mean, the reason Cheese Me says that they're not going to lose market share, the reason that I think Wizards of the Coast, that Dungeons and Dragons may lose its share of the role-playing sector, Cheese Me, is simply because if you're a multi-million-dollar operation that produces Dungeons and Dragons content for Amazon, for example, and the internet, and suddenly you get the Wizards of the Coast saying, we just want a cut now, you're going to basically say, no, okay, well, when we do our next season, we'll either detach ourselves enough from Dungeons and Dragons so that it isn't, we owe them nothing.
Jerry's made a good point. There's a lot more to the OGL than the tax imposition, and submitting your accounts at 50 odd K, whatever it is, it doesn't sound that much of a ball ache if you're bringing in 50K. but it is.
I
Because they'll be in a different currency and there'll be fucking time limits to. It's like HMRC.
to be fair, I don't know if Jerry could maybe give us a TLDR version in the chat, but I think Jerry's probably on about the fact that there might be changes other than financial ones, mate.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're changing. They might have put. I haven't dug deep on the OGL because it's just something I watched about half a dozen videos on because I thought it tied in with the conversation. So I did a quick bit of research, and I don't even play 5th edition. I haven't played D&D since the Red Book Beck Me days in the fucking 80s. But I don't know if they've put in all sorts of restrictions about what you can change, what you can't change. Do you know what I mean? They may have put all sorts of bullshit into the new OGL. Oh, yeah, so it's ownership. Yeah, okay. I did see a video on that. So it's even anything that's published under the OGL remains Wizards of the Coast property. It's, yeah.
Yeah, so you do really well. Submit your tax accounts to us. That's ours now. Fuck off.
Well, to be fair, you don't even need to do that. If they see something doing well on the lowdown, they might even say, "Oh look, he's had 50,000 downloads off that free website." I tell you what, just run that out, take that into development, see if they can make something of that. We can stick a book out next year, and they will do. Yeah. Yeah. Again, the only reason I don't want to get too deep into the weeds of the OGL, but the only reason I mention it is, again, it smacks to me of this culture of pivoting from, and again, right, Dungeons and Dragons is as old as the hills. As a concept, it survived as a concept in a game, and it survived social approbation with the bloody satanic panic bollocks in the US. It's been a nerd and geek obsession for nearly as long as I've been alive. And you're not telling me it hasn't made money. And I know it's been through good times and it's been through not so good times. Towards the end, TSR royally fucked things up and the company was right in the shit. And I know it's not all been a bed of roses, but...
Yeah, but no business ever is.
You're not telling me that the way they've been doing it for 40 years hasn't been successful. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Last time, I don't think the last WotC share report showed that Dungeons and Dragons was a loss leader for WotC. Let's put it that way. Or Hasbro, or whatever the fuck. Okay? I'm sure that Dungeons and Dragons, as it is making them plenty of money. Thank you very much. And for this decades-long nurturing curator-style way of conducting business we're now moving into the next step, which smacks to me of so much of what GW do, which is monopolizing. I mean, set aside the OGL, what D&D 1 edition, they want, there's a load of doomsaying on the internet, and I'm sure that people will say, "Oh, it's not going to be this bad." And do you know what? You might be right. I'll be honest, I don't really care because I don't play D&D anymore. But if you watch the videos, people say, "Well, they're going to create their own bespoke digital platform. They're going to monetize the fuck out of it and charge you for everything bar logging on."
Wizards of the Coast cancelled an announcement that they should have been making 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. But, they're wanting... Whereas they're taking all of these little things. The virtual tabletop market is something that's gone from strength to strength. It got a massive boost, obviously, with COVID, but it's something... what have they done? They've trained their guns on it, and they've said, okay, well, with the next edition, we want everything. We want the virtual tabletop. We want to monetize the fuck out of it, so that we've got all the digital assets, all the control, all of the money. They're gone mad. You know,
They has a little bit.
It's like they do not want to see anybody make a dollar without giving them their pound of flesh off their IP. And some might say, good on them, it's theirs. Okay, fine. But like I say, from where I'm sitting, they've made a good bit of money over the last few years, and what's more, they've supported an entire sector of an industry, people producing books and support materials for fucking D&D for decades.
Cheeseme's just made a good point. It's plenty of money that they're making, but it's not all of their money.
Yeah.
And this is where they become predatory.
Yeah. So it's like what you're saying, Cheeseme, is like there's some sort of business theory model where they go, your company enters its predatory phase. I suppose this is where you see companies enter
acquisitions
where they aggressively buy competitors, try to asset strip and shut down, take their customer books and close them down.
I didn't realise that Hasbro bought D&D
Yeah. I knew that.
That's how out the loop I am.
Yeah. I knew that the new tabletop that they were developing was basically they were using D&D Beyond Shell, and that's why they acquired it. They were like, well, okay, we'll have that. It's what you said. Somebody's already doing a good job. Well, let's just buy that.
Why make a square wheel when we can make a round one and it's
just buy
already
the
over
round
there
one
and it's working fine?
Yeah.
Should we go down to my desktop cam to see what I've been up to this evening?
Yeah, you can do, mate. Let's do that.
Look at these bases.
Oh, a bit of stippling do I see there, mate? Been at it with a sponge.
Do. They're going to need a wash.
Don't say anything, Crispin. He's been at it with a sponge.
Blend it together, and then I'm probably going to put some rust on them.
Okay, mate. Is it metallics or is it just grey? It looks like concretes and greys. But...
It is all grey. It is two Citadel colours, Mechanicus Standard Grey and Administratum Grey.
Yep.
And then this cheeky little grey-green from Vallejo.
Good colour. Yeah, good. Is that the undertone?
No, that's the dark stippling.
Okay. Nice.
So what are you
going to do? Rust effects on the grating and stuff and the bolts? Or
yeah,
what?
I'm gonna wash everything, rust around panel lines and edges, and then, like you say, probably put a couple of little bits of metallic on the grating. But the other thing I'm going to do is see how I get on with this.
Oh, dirty down. That is a very well spoken of product. Have you used it before?
This is the perfect opportunity to use it. In the grim darkness, there is only grey.
Excellent, mate. Good job. Well, you've had a more productive evening than I have.
What have you actually done this evening?
Well, I've applied...
Square root of fuck all?
No, I've applied the second highlight to all of the flesh that I wanted to do. And I have just started to apply the first highlight to the red. But because of various things, I haven't done anywhere near as much as I wanted. But
so that's 10 bases done, and then I've not started on my guys. But yes, feedback in the comments or in chat was greatly appreciated.
Let me go back to your camera. Right, we're back to your camera now.
I will...
I think you've gone into zoom mode because you're slightly cropped.
I'm just holding it really close to my thing, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, feedback on these.
Still not sure on your colour scheme.
Would be
appreciated. I think the orange fabric and the really pale skin tone is the way I go myself.
Super pasty skin tone, orange fabric, and then what colour for the armour panels? Steels, rusties, black. What do we reckon?
I mean, you could go bronzes and you know, you could just mix it up, to be fair. They've got so much on them. Maybe you should do a mixture of steels and bronzes and brasses.
With their orange trousers. So, yeah.
I'm just going to see if I can bring up the 2 photos for everybody.
Oh, yeah, painting comp with my tats that I did.
I've not done all of the photos. There's literally just one representative one, and sadly, your tattoos aren't visible from the front on. But as a quick aside, let's go back to the main shot so I can play about with this. Let's see if I can. Windows.
Very nice, Tim. Pickies would be appreciated. Oh, yes, pickies are already appreciated on the internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've just had a notification that he's put something on Instagram. Right, this was the painting competition entries. This was what I entered. So this is Dracula from the Strigoi faction for Carnivale.
My camera's off.
Photography by Ricky. Yes, it is, mate, yeah. Photography by Ricky from our club. And this is David's entry. Now, tell us, this is a Mantic miniature from
League of Infamy.
League of Infamy, fucking bizarrely. An orc playing a guitar. Definitely David won on theme, because the theme was tribute. So,
yeah.
Well done. Cheese Me got his ogres off the sprue. Well done, mate. So, yeah, and brilliant, well on theme, sort of like the old tribute artist thing, and it's painted up with some really nice metal touches. I will just tell everybody that guitar reads so much better in the flesh. The way the photography is done, the highlights look a bit odd, but actually in the flesh it reads really well as a 3-dimensional object.
It's the same with the skin tone in it as well.
The skin looks pretty good on camera, but the other thing that, again, apologies to David because I've just done this quickly while we were winding up, but the best shots of this model are from behind to the side, because he did some fantastic skin tattoos on the arms. Do you know what, mate? You should get some decent quality photos put up on Insta, or we'll have to get a load put up. I've started doing a link tree for our projects. If you did some decent photography and then project it, we could do a link tree for it.
We could
put a link in, because I've made a start on the link tree thing, because I want to compress the amount of crap that's in our video descriptions. Yes, Lloyd shots. That's right. To be fair, Cheese Me, there are actually Lloyd shots up on our club Discord group, but obviously you guys can't view that because you're not a member of our gaming club. But yeah, so that was the 2 entries for the competition. As I say, I think it was basically a tie but nobody really.
It was a tie by Luke just being adamant it was going to be a tie.
We didn't do proper voting, and anyway, I sort of cede to David because his was better themed than mine.
I mean, to be fair, we both sat down and worked it out, didn't we, when they were on the table? My mini took me 3 hours last week on stream. Obviously, the 2 hours we were streaming in a little bit after. I did a little bit on the Saturday when my lad was doing some painting, and then finished it off on Sunday night within 3 hours. So I think all in all, probably about 8 hours total.
And it's a real. It was a real step change from you mentally, wasn't it? It was like you really were focusing on the time investment and the results, weren't you?
Yeah, I want it done in 2 sessions,
including cleanup, assembly, basing. Mine must be about the same.
Yeah, again, I had none of that bollocks to deal with.
No, because yours is a single piece mini, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Super glued to its base at the factory.
But yeah, for anybody who was with us last week, I was really pleased with how the trousers came out in the end, because that was a complete fucking, random experiment. Although I don't think you were taken with them, were you, David?
No, I didn't like it. They were too pastel for me. I didn't like it, my lover.
And I do, and the skin tone, again, I will
Skin
put a
tone
project
worked.
up. Yes, and all I did, my original plan was to go with the red, deep red, burnt red it is, undernote, and then just put greys, sort of beige greys, things like deck tan, etc. But I did, after I put the first lot down, I went back and I added just the merest hint of brown rose.
Yeah.
Which is a bit, obviously you could tell from the name brown rose, it's a pink-ish colour from Vallejo model colour. And it was something like maybe 20-80 to, literally 20%, maybe less.
Yeah.
Brown rose, but just the merest hint of it, and I think it worked really well.
Well, again, it's like on the back of mine when I did you a preview shot, didn't I? He's got obviously his guitar strap.
Oh, the gloss, yeah.
It was just black, and then after I varnished him, I went in with the glossy black, and that lifted it.
Yeah,
up as well,
the gloss worked. For again, it's the kind of thing it helps because with so many of the elements being dark on the model, change that texture change, just adding the gloss finish just lifts the details, doesn't it? Well, it's 10 o'clock.
It is.
Thank you very much for everybody who was here in chat. It's greatly appreciated. We hope you enjoyed the show. For everybody who catches up with us later on YouTube, put your contribution in the comments below. Is this concept that a rising tide lifts all ships, as in one dominant company in a sector can do no wrong, for they will lift that sector and spread business wherever they tread? Is that a thing? Or actually there are ways
Is
that
it
you
like
can...
a tsunami that's barreling over the harbour wall
and
inundating the entire fucking paddy field?
Yeah, they're basically, like David said, it's a tsunami that's going to basically wipe the sector clean of everybody else but them. Given enough time and enough freedom.
No, I was bored to death.
Do you know what, Tim? If you wanted the job as the PR man, you've got it. David just did not look. Oh dear.
No, I did. I did see about his.
No, it's just your look. David does not look impressed, people. That's his I'm not very impressed face. So yes, as I say, if you can find time to do nothing else, please click the like button because it really does help the algorithm and helps the video spread to other people. We need to go now and wind up our evenings, so we'll see you guys at the same time next week.
Cheers, guys.